Hi, also this is Sean from Time and Talk, and today's video is going to be about watches and wonders and the new models that have come out, most specifically Rolex, and then going through some of the ones that I have picked up and I like the look of and that seem like interesting watches. So first of all, Rolex. It's interesting that I think this year was, I think to some extent I've reached peak boredom with the Rolex new releases because obviously I'm not slagging off the brand. I love Rolex. I've got an Explorer on my wrist and it is a great brand, but it's increasingly becoming a little bit kind of, I don't know whether it's because of all the hype surrounding them and then you realise that the hype is completely not justified when the models come out, and also about the old thing about not being able to buy them and things like that. So just clicking through the Rolex website, but obviously you'll know most of this. I'm just really expressing my opinion on the new watches. There's a new Air King. So the Air King, we could call it incremental changes to the model, or we could call it nothing's happened to the model. But in fairness, I mean, there's crown guards, and I read an article in Hodinkee which basically suggested it's now a sports watch. It's now part of the professional range because it's got crown guards. I don't know why Rolex have decided to do that. I don't like the current Air King. I think it's ugly, if I'm honest, and I think it should be more like a traditional size that it used to. I much prefer the older ones. I think the new 3, 6 and 9 are loomed, so in line with what's happened to the Explorer. And one of the things that it said on the Rolex website was, now to keep the symmetry of the dial, it has a 0 before the 5. And I mean, I guess if that's the only thing you can say about a watch, then it doesn't need to be released. Yeah, nice watch. Not my cup of tea. I think 40 is too big for the style of watch it is. But yeah, there's a new Air King. I think, to be cynical about it, Rolex seem to make enough changes so the old models still become hot on the second-hand market, and that seems to be the only justification for some of these changes. It's annoying, really. And then onto the main draw from Watches and Wonders, which was the GMT Master 2. So if I'm right, I mean, I'm colourblind, so my colour vision's awful, but it looks like a Coke. But it's left-handed. And this idea of it being left-handed, I don't know what a left-handed watch is. I mean, call me daft if you want to, but yeah, I mean, it is easier obviously for a left-handed person if the crown's on the other side. It's on the other side, the crown and the Cyclops. First of all, when you look at it, you're thinking that doesn't look right. It's a GMT Master, so it's a nice looking watch. I don't really understand why Rolex have released this watch after 117 years of not having a left-handed watch. Is it just to do something that's surprising? Yeah, it's a nice watch. I mean, feel free to enlighten me. Somebody said it's good to have a left-handed watch because the crown, if it's on the other side, doesn't dig into your wrist. So maybe that's the case. It's easier to operate, obviously, if it's on the other side, if you're left-handed, but I never use the crown when it's on my wrist. I take it off. But yeah, I don't know. There's a new day date, which looks like a day date. There's a new Yachtmaster 42, which looks like a Yachtmaster, and there's some new date justs. So for me, as a fan of Rolex, I'm not bothered that they've released new watches this year, and it's sad, really. I think that is, and I think part of it is because the changes are so small that it doesn't really matter, and also that you can't buy them. So yeah, I mean, hit me if you think I'm wrong. Hit me if you're looking at one of the watches and you think that is amazing. I think it's fantastic. But that's my take at this point. The last shock to me was the new Explorer 36mm, because obviously that directly affected me as a Rolex Explorer owner. before I kind of got a little bit of excitement when Rolex released new models. I'm not feeling that now. I'm not saying that to slag off the brand as much, to tell you that's the way I feel. And then some of the watches that came out that are interesting or that I really like. The Black Bay Pro, which is the GMT with a 39mm case. I think a lot of people seem to be asking for a Black Bay GMT in a 39mm case with, for example, a Pepsi bezel. They haven't done that, but they've taken a watch that essentially looks like the Explorer 2 and released that. I'm not a huge fan of it. The case size is something that would attract me, but I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't really like the steel bezel, but it aesthetically just doesn't do it for me. I'm not really sure why, but again, tell me what you think of that watch. The second Tudor, one that I do like is the Black Bay steel and gold. There's a new colourway. I think they call it a root beer, so it's an equivalent to a GMT Master root beer. I think this watch will be a little bit big for me. It's 41mm and the Black Bay is thick, but I do like the two-tone. I'm never going to be able to afford a two-tone GMT Master, so this would be a good alternative for me. And I do think it's a nice watch. A two-tone Black Bay in 39mm at Black Bay 58 would be, I would love that, but we'll see if that comes next year, because obviously they're probably saving a few of these things for later. Then there's a GMT Master, a Grand Seiko, a couple of new spring drive GMTs, which have a kind of snowflake dial. Particularly one of them has a kind of snowflake-esque dial. It's 41mm case. I'll put a picture up on the screen. I'm looking at it now on the screen. It's got a great dial and it's a lovely looking watch. I mean, that for me, that blows the Tudor out of the water. I'm not sold on the idea of the spring drive, because for me it's just a quartz watch that sweeps. Obviously it's more than that, but it's not enough for me to think, I'll replace an automatic watch or whatever. I'm not sure if these are titanium actually, but I love the fact that the snowflake's titanium as well, just making it that much more comfortable. And then Bulgari Octo Finissimo, the thinnest, I think it's the thinnest ever watch. I think it was something like 1.8mm or something like that, and it just got me thinking, can a watch ever be too thin? And I think the answer is yes, it can, and this is that watch. I don't know, I really like it from a technological standpoint. It's not my cup of tea aesthetically in terms of would I wear it, but I think it's fantastic in terms of the technological achievement of it. But it's interesting, at what point is a watch too thin? I think this might be it. I was looking at a Vacheron, a second-hand Vacheron, and it had at the time the thinnest automatic movement ever, and that watch was 3.8mm. And wearing this on the wrist, I think it'd be strange. But again, tell me what you think. I think it's way too big for me as well, this watch, but I do like it. The next one is the Vacheron. I don't actually know the model number and the name, but it's a kind of integrated bracelet, kind of 70s design. It's yellow gold, or it looks like yellow gold to me. As I said, my colour vision is not great. But it looks like this the Tissot PRX. It's PRS or PRX, and it is a cool watch. I do think that's a beautiful watch. Never going to be able to afford it, but one can dream. And then the last watch on my list is one that would actually be an option for me, and it's the newest Santos Dumont Cartiers. So they've released 3 in a large version. The extra large steel is the only model that has the mechanical movement in it, and these 3 new large watches, slightly smaller, have the mechanical movement. One's yellow gold, one's platinum, and then one's steel, and I've got a kind of a coating on the case. So the steel model is all black. It's black coated, and the dial is black, and the bezel is black, and that's a real option for me for my next watch. I think it would be fantastic, but I wish it was the normal steel one. I would be all over the small or the large if that had a mechanical movement in it. But I do really like this watch. It's my favourite watch so far, from Watches and Wonders. So yeah, so that's my list of watches that I like from the current Watches and Wonders. Tell me what you think of them. Tell me what you think of the Rolex watches on the list. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. And thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.